Welcome back to From Corporate to Cashflow. We are Andrea Cannon and Liz Schwab, two pharmacists navigating the process of building time and financial freedom through real estate investing and lending while working our day jobs. Navigating the journey is difficult, but our podcast guests are experts in showing us how it's done. And today we have Tommy Thornburgh with us, and he is the president of Prime Corporate Services. We're super excited to have you here, Tommy. Thanks so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Tommy, super excited to learn a little bit more about your background. I know Andrea and I have heard a lot about you and your company. And of course, I know Andrea has her LLC set up with you. I need to get an LLC set up as well. So I think a lot of people will learn a lot from this podcast interview. So to get us started, super interested in hearing a little bit more about like your background or your journey into becoming the president of Prime Corporate. Kind of just maybe how you got here. Like, did you always have a passion for this area and maybe what you're focusing on in the future?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, this is exciting. I get the LLC. Everyone should have an LLC and be self-employed, but I'm sure we'll talk about that more. So, um, my parents got divorced when I was 3, and I know that feels like I'm taking you like way far back, but it is relevant, I promise. My mom was a real estate agent, and my dad owned a real estate brokerage. And they really encouraged my sister and I to be self-employed from the time we were very little. So like I feel like most kids get pushed into you should go get a college education and get an awesome job. Mine was a little bit different, which I'm very grateful for. And then when I turned 18, I went and knocked door to door selling pest control in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if any listeners are in Raleigh, I'm sorry for bugging you about bugs. Then I got home and started going to school, went and worked for a company, and ended up getting, in my opinion, they probably have a different view, taken advantage of for what I was bringing to the organization. They were selling phone and internet, and my buddy and I ended up starting a $12 million revenue stream for security systems within this organization. At that point, this is on a Wednesday. They told us they were going to give us some of it. On Wednesday, they sold to Wachovia. And on Saturday, I met my now and still business partner, Steve Harward. And it was kind of like a Wolf of Wall Street moment where I was like Jonah Hill. It's like, show me a pay stub. I'll quit right now. And we started Prime Corporate. We've been in business since 2012, and we've helped set up over 175,000 businesses since. So
Wow.
kind of a cool journey.
I also think it's so rare that people can stay in partnerships for like such a long period of time, right? I feel like you tend to see fallouts, right? Like no matter like if you knew them before, they're your friend, but it seems like it's really worked for you too.
Even crazier than that, him and my sister are together. So this is actually like some Utah all in the family stuff going on now. I'll tell you what. But yeah, they just had a little baby boy. It's my first nephew. I love them both to death, and I just to make sure that we address that. What I have seen and what I have found and what I've experienced from that partnership is we have very healthy conflict and really focus on ending conversations with I love you. What are the next steps? It doesn't always have to be I love you and act like it's rainbows and unicorns, but I think conflict is okay, and being able to find resolution, I think is important. And also, he's the CEO, he's the majority owner, I'm the president, and at the end of the day, I can give constructive feedback, and he's really good at listening to it. And whether we agree or not, find common ground and move forward. Don't make mistakes, if anything else.
Yeah, that sounds super healthy. And I'm glad you guys have figured that out because obviously a lot of people don't, right?
Yeah.
So what is Prime Corporate? Like, what are the services that you provide? And can you just give us maybe like an overview of the different like divisions of Prime Corporate?
Yeah, of course. So when we first started Prime Corporate, there was 4 of us. And the whole goal was to help startup entrepreneurs that either have W-2s that are looking to get into self-employment or that are small businesses currently, And the 4 core services that we offer back in 2012 and still today are the same. I kind of joke that we're like an In-N-Out menu.
You know
Entity
what you do.
structure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
that's
what you do. You do it well. Yeah.
stick with it. Might as well. Entity structures, LLCs, corporations. We also have a really cool business credit development service that helps entrepreneurs build business credit to get away from always having to use personal funds and personal credit. We also have a full service accounting firm. We file over 50,000 tax forms a year, bookkeeping. And then also the fourth pillar is estate planning, trust, wills, living wills, power of attorney. So all the boring stuff that entrepreneurs don't really want to deal with, we have ran into that fire to help them so they can focus on their business.
Yeah, for sure. And then are you guys planning on expanding into any other areas? I don't know if I'm even allowed to ask you that. Can you share me your business plan with us? But I was just curious, since you have done all these different things, if you had plans to go into any other areas.
It's a good question. I'll share some of them with you because the answer is yes, but I really want to under promise and over deliver here as well,
Yeah,
because if I've learned anything, everything worthwhile takes quite a while. So
right.
being as impatient as I am, that's been a difficult thing for me to wrap my head around. But we have hired on quite a few attorneys. We have started doing a lot of trademarking, a lot of notary services. We actually have gone just head first into the AI world with tax filings, and we are launching a service that will allow W-2 employees or self-employed individuals to upload their previous year's tax return, and it will spit out $10,000 to $250,000 worth of tax savings ideas that they can implement directly into their lives and into their business. And I'm telling you that because it goes live in a week, and I don't know when this is posting this, but it should be live by the time that this is out. So that's the very, very exciting. We've got some other cool stuff that we're working on as well, but those are the exciting ones
Yeah.
as of right now.
Sorry for asking you, but man, that's huge. That would be
So
and will
cool.
be like so awesome because I know from personal experience finding like a good CPA is so hard, especially when you're talking about the tax strategies and ways to save money. And so if you can just put that through a system and it comes back with these ideas of savings, there are just so many people that would be of value to, right? Well, literally anyone, that'd be of value to anyone, but I know there are certain individuals that are specifically seeking that out. So that is just awesome to hear.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is we always hear certain advice about real estate or other things, but it doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, right? Like I hear all the time people like Pace Morby talking about, oh, the depreciation from real estate and your long-term rentals and all this stuff. And me and Liz both work full-time jobs, so because of that, you can't be a real estate professional unless you do more on real estate than anything else. So I'd have to log 41 hours every single week in real estate and have it fully documented in order to qualify for real estate professional status. And there's just no way that that's possible. So like the advice that you hear from like a lot of gurus or people that are going out and touting benefits of real estate or solar or whatever they're talking about doesn't necessarily mean that it'll apply to you. And so when you're uploading your own specific taxes and then it's giving you your own specific tax advice, I mean, that is next level amazing.
It is so cool. And as a thank you for having me as a guest, feel free to text me and I'll put both of you through it. We've put through quite a few people to make sure it's working, but if you text me, I'll introduce you to our tax attorney and have him go through it with you because it is so cool. I'm very excited about it. But you're right, it's not one size fits all, and we talk about that in a lot of company meetings as well. We've never filed two tax returns that are the exact same. We've never done two estate plans that are the exact same. People's situations are different. And I think that's what makes the legal and the financial and the tax world so overwhelming or challenging in a lot of cases is there's 70,000 pages of a tax code,
Right.
and there isn't a lot of like, this is what's best for you and why that's out there. So that's our goal with this new product, is to help bridge that gap to make it more personalized.
Oh my goodness. And for everyone that's listening to this, we're recording it on August 6th of 2025. So if it's after about a week from today, then you are good to go. And I know this will go live after that. So I just want to clarify that the timing is right. If you're interested, we'll definitely make sure that the appropriate contact info is in this podcast link as well. Now, I really wanted to touch on something you talked about at the beginning, right when Liz was, mentioning that she didn't have an LLC yet, but wanted to set one up. Why does everyone, or maybe if just does everyone, I guess that's the first question, does everyone need an LLC? And what's the benefits for someone who's not like full-time investor or full-time business owner? Like, even if you maybe are doing this like a little bit on the side, or you're getting like a little bit of income from your investments, like, is there a benefit at all of having an LLC in a situation like that?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and thank you for clarifying and asking this, because obviously I've got a very biased opinion when it comes to people having tax benefits. So when you have a W-2 income, you're very limited on things that you can do that will benefit you from a tax standpoint, unless you're physically taking those dollars and putting them into investments such as oil and gas or solar or even real estate. But in a lot of cases, like you mentioned, there's still going to be limitations. So the reason that I love when people are trying to develop multiple streams of income, I can't tell you how many like Ubers and Lyfts that I've been in where I'm like, do you have your LLC set up? Because if you have something that you're passionate about and that you're genuinely pursuing to generate additional revenue streams, then yes, having that business entity to write off startup or organizational expenses and formalize it as an actual business does make it easier to take deductions that can flow through and offset to write off against that W-2 income. So, if you're doing like a lemonade stand with your kids, or you love golf and are like, should I teach golf lessons like your husband? Probably not, but there's a lot. If you have the genuine intent to start a business, a side hustle, or multiple streams of income, why not formalize it and utilize them as deductible expenses?
Awesome. And so, there's a lot of online services or things that exist for setting up LLCs that have been around for a while, but yet you guys stay in business and obviously are doing really well. So, what sets Prime Corporate Services apart from, let's say, just me going online and Googling how to set up an LLC and doing it myself?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And obviously all three of us met each other through Pace. So just to give him a shout out as well, one of the things that I know you guys have heard a million times is collaboration over competition. And I've, I'm, when you ask this question, like, I don't know the answer to it really. We've really thought long and hard as to why that is. And I share that because it's like, I would rather everyone listening to this have an entity and maximize on their taxes more than anything. But there's plenty of business out there for everybody. And I think what has set us apart is we hire a lot of people that truly care and that want to impact and better their clients' personal and business situations. We offer a lot of personal touch that is a blessing and a curse. There's not a lot of companies that are willing to just talk to people for extended periods of time, and then if they complain, make sure we jump right back on the phone with them. But I think it separated us, and it's just kind of who we are. It's nowadays there's so many like Zoom calls and recordings like this that like when we saw each other in Dallas and the opportunity to go to dinner with your husband, it's like having that personal connection is so important, and I want to keep that within the roots of the company. So I think that as long as we continue to focus on keeping the client first and providing a good experience, it's worked for us this far, and that's the plan, is to keep it moving in that direction.
I love that. And I think it's also nice to kind of discuss, the goals that I have. And like you're talking about that personal touch, because I've been able, the person that's my point of contact is Gray Sorensen, and he is very responsive. Anytime I have any questions, hey, I've got this idea, or I'm going to be working on this. Do you think it needs to go in a Utah LLC? Should it go in a different LLC? Like, where should this happen? Like, I'm part of Owners Club, and Pace decides he's going to gift us shares of XYZ company. What do I do with that? Right. And like, that's not something I'm able to find out online at least very easily. I'm sure I can find it, but I'm not sure I even trust advice I'm getting on those in those forums. But it's nice because
For sure.
like I talk to Gray about what I'm doing, and then he's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't put that together with this. I would maybe create a separate one, but instead of creating a separate one for this other thing, you can actually combine it here." So it's been really nice to have that like that personal touch, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I love Ben. Thank you for that. Gray is amazing. And he actually sits right out here outside my office. So I'll make sure to give him a shout out for you. But we've got a lot of people that are like that. And you can't bat 100%. I mean, we have 450 employees or something like that now amongst all the different organizations. And you can't bat 100%. And I think that that's something that entrepreneurs and business owners, and Liz, I liked what you said earlier on like, how do you keep a good partnership and a good relationship? A lot of times when you bring people into that mix that don't jive or don't mix, it doesn't mean they're a good or a bad person. But if you're not all rowing in the same direction, it can make it tough.
For sure, for sure. So I have a few more questions about prime corporate, if that's okay. So
Sure.
if someone, let's say they want to buy real estate and create an LLC, or maybe they want to lend for real estate and create an LLC, I think some people are always confused with like what the point of an LLC is. So my question is, would you be able to advise someone on, do we need an LLC? Do we need like an S corp? Do we need like another entity? Is that something that you guys would be able to advise them on?
Yes, absolutely. The one thing that we don't do is we don't do nonprofits. So for profit businesses are really our bread and butter. And just to answer that question for you as well, and for anyone listening to give you a little bit of framework, a lot of times when you go talk to an attorney, it depends and
Mm-hmm.
then leans towards asset protection, right?
Yep.
And then you ask an accountant the same question and it depends and
Yep.
path of
Exactly.
least resistance to file your return. The three things I recommend: number one, privacy and protection. How much privacy do you want? How much protection do you need based off where you are in your life and your business? Number two, tax benefits, profit or loss. So as you generate income or as you invest dollars or spend dollars on the business, what does it mean and how should that entity be set up to cooperate with those decisions? And then number three, credibility. Show yourself as a business to not only your clientele, but banks and lenders. Those are kind of the three easy ways to open up that conversation on what's best for you and why.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I know you have these other departments, right? Like the credit building, tax, filing with taxes and everything. But going back to like the LLC formation or entity structure, is there anything that you guys learned like early on? Like, hey, it really makes sense for us to format these LLCs or the entity structure like this to avoid XYZ. I know it's kind of a vague question, but what I'm getting at is I think that there's a lot of not misconceptions, but just general misunderstanding of like the formation of these entities. So, is there like a big level like rule or lesson that you've learned throughout this experience that you would always advise people? You like make sure you do this.
This is a good question. I don't know that I've ever been asked this. There's two that stand out. I'm sure there's 100 of them of mistakes or wins that we've had, but two that really, really stand out for me is number one, when you're setting up an entity, the operating agreement of your entity is basically describing everything on how you're going to operate. So, what is your percentage of ownership? What are the roles and responsibilities? When are you going to be taking profits? If there's anything I've learned from partnerships throughout these years, there's either too much money or not enough money. There's never the perfect amount of money.
Uh,
And
Funny how that works, right? Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the more money, the more greed and weird that steps in, and the less money, the more arguments and finger pointing that happens. So the more that it can be outlined in the very beginning of a business and in writing on an operating agreement, that was a big learning lesson after about the 84th argument that we had to listen to amongst family members that said they'd never fight.
Yeah.
Um, and then the second thing is NAICS code. So clarifying the type of business for banks and lenders. We've every year, this is something that we review, but not all banks are willing to lend to the same types of business.
Hmm.
One of them may love to invest in real estate, and one of them only wants to do beauty supplies. I don't know, but they're all different. So making sure that the NAICS codes align with the type of business or the goal of getting funding, that has been also a big one that stands out to me quite a bit. That was a good question. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you. And then for everyone listening, can you tell us what an NAICS code is?
Yeah, so it's a 6-digit numerical number that ultimately just classifies your business. And a lot of times it's going to be asked by banks or by lenders. So instead of just going to a bank a lot of times and saying that you're a real estate investor, you're a consultant, or you're an X, Y, or Z, a lot of times they'll want your NAICS code, which is
Hmm.
that 6-digit code to tell them the type of business directly that you're in.
Okay, okay. And then I have kind of like an off question. So, historically, I've heard in conversations that people are like, "Hey, you should set up your LLC in this state because you can be anonymous," or "Definitely don't establish it in this state." So, can you just tell us like what's the rule? What's going on? Like, if you want to be anonymous, is there a certain state that you need to set it up in, or like what's the deal with that?
Yeah, not all states are created equal when it comes to corporate law. We know that for sure. If you're listening from California or Massachusetts or New York, you know that that's the case, right? So Delaware and Wyoming are ultimately the best when it comes to privacy. Other states like Alaska, New Mexico, there's other great states for business as well. But what I love about Delaware and specifically Wyoming, I love Wyoming. It's simple, it's easy, it's less expensive. I have a holding company that's based out of Wyoming, and that Wyoming company owns my other businesses. So if one of my businesses was to get sued, they're not going to see my name, my address. They see a Wyoming company that does not show my name. So it's a great component for those of you that want anonymity, want privacy. Matter of fact, we had a client a couple years ago that had a bunch of rental properties and said, I'm not doing it out of Wyoming. I live in Florida. I'm just setting it up out of Florida. Okay, that's fine. They got hit with a hurricane, and at like 3 a.m, their tenant showed up at their house, knocking on the window, thinking that they didn't pay the power bill. And he called back and he was like, I'm sorry, I want Wyoming. So privacy is a benefit, especially for people that are putting themselves out there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
kind of a crazy story.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Very interesting too, right? Because it may be something that you don't want to think about, or you just like, well, why would I need that? But that's a great example. I will say there have been a few times that I've tried to track people down where I was like, who's behind this LLC? And then it goes to another LLC and then another LLC and another, and you're like, I give up. So I mean, clearly that some of these people have this down like very well, where they're like you can't find out who they are. So I always think it's just kind of funny how difficult it can be to figure it out.
It was so we had a real estate investor that was trying to buy a property and trying to locate it the same way you were just saying it. And they looked at their documents, and the organizer was someone from our company. So they were able to, they called back and they were like, hey, you guys set up my LLC. I need you to tell me who this one is. We're like, we can't do that. But kind of a funny story if they were able to tie it together because what they did, they were going down the rabbit hole trying to find the other person is funny.
That's great. And I think, one of the key things and one of the reasons why I use you guys as well as just that one on one personal touch. But let's say I did all of that on my own and went through and heard you talk right now. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to set up a Wyoming LLC. And then I go and set it up myself. Well, then that blows all of your anonymity, which sounds really obvious when we're talking about it right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean people put those two things together. So you guys are what is a registered agent. And I'd love that if you could explain that, what that means and why that's important for protecting anonymity. You kind of touched on it just a little bit, but I want to make sure we just dive in a little bit more.
Yeah, and the way that I like to explain this as well, there's oftentimes 3 addresses that you need to worry about. One of them is your billing address. Doesn't really matter, but you obviously get asked for it. It's what's tied to your credit card, right? The second one is your mailing address, obviously, where you're getting mail and where things are getting sent to you. The third one is the physical address. And on the physical address, you can use your house, your office building, but we also offer registered agents. in all 50 states, which are locations in each state that has someone working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, where if mail is delivered or if someone does get sued, it ends up coming through directly to them. So these registered agents specifically work where you don't have to have your address on there, but you don't really want mail sent to those registered agents. You can get a virtual address that is easier to deal with mail. But if you have that physical address as a registered agent, the mailing address is a PO box or even your address, and then the billing address is whatever's tied together with your credit cards, then that is a lot of what gives you that privacy and that anonymity.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that. I had no idea what a registered agent was, and even after I looked it up, I like really wasn't clicking for me. I don't, maybe I'm just stupid, but I was like, well, I don't know, what is this? Why do we need this? But it makes so much sense when you start thinking about entity structure and trying to be anonymous. And to your point, you want to make sure that certain things are sent to certain locations, right? And you might not want it sent to that address. Like I dealt with having something sent there, and I was like, oh wait, that's in a whole other state. Like I need that. So there's lots of different things you have to think about when you're setting this all up. So that's good to know. So
Yeah,
the other thing,
you're not alone. I have some properties in Missouri, and so I have an entity set up out of Missouri with a registered agent that we use. And I accidentally sent a credit card there
yeah,
as opposed to my mailing address, and I just canceled it and had him send me another. I was like, it'll take longer for me to get this. I just canceled it and had him send me another one.
that's actually exactly what happened to me. The
Oh,
exact same thing.
really?
Yeah, I was like, can you
You're
cancel this, please? Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
alone.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so really curious. Also, would you say that the majority of the people that you work with are in real estate or like a real estate investors? Like, is that your primary? I don't want to say target, but does that tend to be like your audience?
That's how I know both of you. So I think that that's a lot of the people that we know together is a lot of who
Yeah.
we work with, but not necessarily. I mean, we work with a lot of real estate investors, but we also work with a lot of stock traders and a lot of online businesses and a lot of insurance agents and really any 1099 income
Mm-hmm.
or self-employed venture is a lot of what our focus is.
Mm-hmm.
So we do work with a lot of real estate investors, tens of thousands of real estate investors a year. But I don't know that it's the majority. We have a pretty diverse group of different type of self-employment options.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Like I said, just curious.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious, I know you talked about your partnership and how that's been working really well for you guys and how you address conflict. And so throughout your journey, either with like Prime or maybe just like real estate or anything else related to Prime, what would you say is one of your biggest lessons that you've learned throughout your entire experience that you wish you would have known when you like first started out?
Oh, um, how long you got? No, I'm just
We got
there's two that really stand out to me. Number one, Gino Wickman, for whatever reason, just like speaks to my soul. So the traction book, the EOS systems, having a formalized meeting cadence for the entire organization. So every Wednesday, earlier today, we have an executive L10 meeting with all the executives in the company and having an actual format so it doesn't feel like you're getting stuck on topics has allowed us to be much more efficient with our time. So being intentional with meetings is one that we have learned a lot from. And the book Traction really breaks a lot of that down. And then he's got another great book that's Rocket Fuel that
Mm,
identifies visionaries and integrators. The second lesson is firing people that aren't a fit. And as crazy as that sounds, and I think that I have so much loyalty and so much care for the people that spend a lot of their lives in this building that it's a really hard one for me to wrap my head around, and I'm still learning day to day on it. But about 5 years in, one of our best salespeople just was not a cultural fit, arguing with everyone. So you get to this point where you're like, ethics and morals, future, money. And I think it's a dilemma that a lot of business owners have in different ways but I'm making money. but what if? Best thing we ever did was let him go. And it was a really big lesson of the ship is much, much bigger and the tide is much stronger than one oar. And so the more that everyone could be strolling in that same direction, and there's always going to be a top performer, there's always going to be a bottom performer, but there aren't always going to be people that align with your morals, your ethics, your commitment, and your care. You're much better off working with people that you enjoy. Still a tough one. Both of those are probably two that I continually struggle with and want to continue getting better at. So those are probably the two that I share for that
Yeah.
reason.
No, I love that. It's always difficult to fire people, right? But I think culture is probably one of the most important things whenever you're recruiting or retaining individuals. Because if you don't have like that same common like mindset, it's like you're almost working against each other, right? And it makes it just more and more difficult to move forward and everyone to be on the same page.
Yeah, and it's one. So I am not a great judge of character, full transparency, but I recognize that about myself. And I think a lot of the reason is like, I oftentimes will give people the benefit of the doubt until they like cross me. And then it's all right, this doesn't work for me. But that also is a lesson in itself. I invested $100,000 into a real estate syndication like 3 years ago and have still never seen a dollar back from it. And for me, it's like, I'm just not going to do business with them again. But I think there's a balance of like, what is your time worth? What does it really matter? And how much is it going to take up your headspace? I share that story with you like very lighthearted because it saved me money in taxes. The asset's still there. It's been 3 years. I should probably do something about it by now, but I just am going to learn from that. And I will not be doing any business with them moving forward. And in my opinion, it's like, I've got bigger things to do. You lost the opportunity to have a really good relationship. So hopefully, most of you listening have better intuition initially off people than I do. And don't have to learn with $100,000 lessons at a time. But that's why I have awesome partners and awesome people that I don't do any of the interviewing. Everyone else, I trust people in this company to be able to hold those interviews and get a better grasp on people than myself. So lean into your pros and your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yeah, and that's awesome about your partnership that you've kind of figured that out too, right? Your whole business, it's very structured in a way that you lean into your strengths, being more of like the operator side, the integrator side, and obviously Steve is more of the visionary, and you guys can bounce off of each other and do the things very well. Because a lot of times visionaries attract other visionaries, and then they have nobody that's out there getting the things done that they want to get done, which is where your strengths are, which is really cool.
100%. They need each other. I two integrators would probably argue about whether or not we've crossed a T or dotted an I. Two visionaries would talk about how we're going to land on the moon and never end up figuring out how to build a ship. So I think that it all comes back to what you want to do and what that brain of yours really wants to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. And so thinking about people that are just starting out in either their financial independence journey or in general, like maybe a side hustle or entrepreneurial journey venture, what's a piece of advice you could give them in about 30 seconds so that they can kickstart this off in the right way?
How can you get multiple streams of income? How can one of them be one that actually generates income? And how can one of them be one that you actually like to do? I think too many people are like, you never work a day if you genuinely like what you do. That doesn't pay the bills. So find something that makes money so that you can do what you want to do. And a lot of times you end up liking one of those things for financial reasons. So think about multiple streams of income. You don't have to just have one business or one source of income. Drive Uber, drive Lyft, start into real estate, do something that's going to be the vehicle to generate income that allows you the ability to either make money or burn money through something that you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, I like the realistic advice, right? Because to your point, I mean, I've heard people be like, "Oh yeah, like you said, you never work a day, whatever, if you do what you enjoy." And I'm like, "Well, are you gonna like get money? Like, are you gonna live, right? You can't just like pet my dog all day. Like, you need to actually like. It's great if the two align, but like, you need to figure something out." So Yes, yes. And
Hey,
I really,
I am not an accountant, and I talk about taxes all day long, and it has become an absolute passion.
yeah,
So a lot
yeah.
of times you work through what that is in a lot of cases.
There you go. And I want to touch base on the business credit development. Can you just help us understand what that actually is and why that would be of value to someone? Maybe like with an example.
Sure. So you've got your personal name, your social security number, and your personal FICO credit score. A lot of what we do is we help people with business names, EINs, and then you can build and develop a separate credit profile for your business called a Paydex score. We have an amazing software based solution that breaks it down into a 7-step process on how to show yourself as bankable or fundable with your business, how to go after these bureaus like Dun and Bradstreet, Experian Business, Equifax Business to actually get a business credit profile, how to build gas cards, store cards, things that no one really wants. But building business credit is a long term journey. Like, if you think a year down the road, 5 years down the road, you're not going to look back and say, I wish I had less money.
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
more the more funding opportunities that you can create for yourself and for your business, the better. But that doesn't happen overnight. So 5 years from now, it's not worth it if you're just going to stop and get a gas card and a store card. If you can build up these larger lines of credit, a really cool story I'll share with you. We've been working with this client. This is really recent, for about 4 or 5 years. But about 3 months ago, because of building up a great credit profile, she was able to qualify for an SBA loan to qualify for a trampoline park. It was 40,000 square foot building and a trampoline park that will generate $10,000 to $20,000 of cash flow a month without having to use her own money. So it's
Mm.
not just about the trade lines or just about a line of credit. It could be an equipment loan, a real estate loan, a retirement account loan, an SBA loan. There's a lot of different ways that you can get financing. So we provide a solution that helps them organize it and open up and teach them the ways that they can qualify for some of those other funding solutions.
Wow. Okay. So there's obviously a lot that you can do. Like there's a lot of opportunities here for utilizing business credit, right? Like basically, like you don't have to be a real estate investor. Like there's so many different opportunities that you could utilize this business credit for, correct?
Oh, we work with one group that, and this goes back to the diversification of the company as a whole. We work with one group that teaches people how to go get government contracts for deliveries. And a lot of what we do is we help them set up the entity so they can get approvals for these deliveries, and then help them build business credit so that they can get an equipment loan to get one of those cool Sprinter looking vans so that they can carry more packages to make more money. So the equipment loan is a great way to be able to get financing. Um, Not so many cool things that you can do, and it's all because of money. Everyone has problems. Making more money and having good personal credit makes a lot of your problems easier to resolve. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. Making more money with your business and having better business credit oftentimes makes your business easier to run. So more funding opportunities is a great thing for any business owner.
I love that. I love that. And we're also learning a lot more about business credit ourselves. And there's so many opportunities that it sounds like it can be helpful for. So I appreciate that backstory, and I'm sure other people do as well. Now, we've talked a lot about money, and we've talked a lot about being an entrepreneur and how you've built your incredible business. And I want to hear a little bit about maybe a little more your lifestyle, and if you have any bucket list adventures or things you have planned for the rest of the year, maybe next year, hear what's going on with you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've got a beautiful wife and two beauty little girls. I've got a 4 year old and a 2 year old. So that is my life. I sit in this chair for quite a few hours a day and go home and get bossed around by my two little girls, which is awesome. Um, it's been my 4 year old loves to swim, and my younger daughter's just walking and starting to get some attitude. But my wife and I are in the phase right now where That is the full time. My wife is with them all day. My older daughter's going to school, but um, focusing on spending time with them. I have struggled with moderation throughout my life. There's a lot of times that it wouldn't be foreign for me to work 6-7 days a week and 15 hours a day. That was not an uncommon thing for a long period of my life. And so I really focus on trying to get out of the office between 5 and 5:30 and really spending quality adamant time with my girls while I'm with them. That is my main focus right now while they're still this young.
I love
Yeah.
it. I
It can
love
be hard to find that balance, right, Andrea? I know you know too. And I feel like we hear that a lot from, people that are trying to build. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of us do realize, your family, your friends, your connections are, what's most important. So I know a lot of us strive to, make sure our attention is going towards them at the end of the day, because that's what we're in these businesses for, is to provide for them as well. So, I'm happy that you have recognized that. And I mean, your family's super cute. I've seen pictures of them. So just brace yourself for when they get older.
I can't imagine. My 4-year-old's probably like making my wife want to cry right now as we speak. But it's so fun and it's so crazy. It's like these attitudes. Where are these coming from?
Yeah.
But it it's really fun. It's enjoyable to watch it and see it. And my parents got divorced so young. I think I'm a little bit jaded that way as well, where it's like I want my kids to be able to spend time with both parents and do fun things. And my older daughter's taken a liking to tennis lately, so that has been my. I used to golf a lot, but once I had kids, I am not able to golf as much. So I've recently taken up tennis, and I've been playing a lot of tennis, and my daughter's been enjoying going and hitting the ball around too. So that's been fun.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, I have some memories of playing tennis with my dad growing up. So I know she'll remember that when she gets older, and she'll look back and she'll remember playing with
Love
you.
it.
So cute.
That's awesome.
So Tommy, we've learned like so much about you today. I am very excited that we were able to talk to you about all these different things. I know we didn't get to all the divisions about Prime Corporate, but if someone is interested in learning more, or they want to set up their LLC, or they want to get started with building their business credit, what is the best way to get in contact with you or to get in contact with Prime Corporate Services?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll get a link so that I'll get a link over to you so you can put it in the show notes or you can put it up on the screen for everyone. Feel free to just click the link, go to it, and what that will do is it'll allow you to schedule a free one-on-one 45-minute to hour consultation. If we set it up in our system, make sure you click the link so that we know where you're coming from, so that we know you are likely a W 2 that is either looking to have some sort of side income or already has side income. And then just let us know on that call what you want to learn more about: entities, business credit, taxes, estate planning, whatever we can do to bring more value to you and your business and your life. Feel free to click that link, schedule a free call, and we're more than happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Tommy, for your time. We have learned so much. I feel like we've covered so many things too. So thanks for handling all of our questions, but we really appreciate it. And I know everyone listening really appreciates it as well. And so thanks everyone for tuning into this week's episode of From Corporate to Cashflow. We will catch you next week.